All right, thanks, Ross. Today was day 4 for us. Unbelievable how quick it just seems to be going. I mean, it's been a fun 4 days. We got a lot of work done. I really like this football team. I think our roster is ahead of where we were last year at this time from a just confident, functional standpoint. We've got good competition going on out here, and just a lot of guys. We were a young team last year. A lot of guys have made a lot of improvements, so it's been good to see that. Today we introduced kind of our third tempo, day 4. So we have 3 tempos of practice, tracking, thud, and live. That's how we go about installing things. And so today was the first day we were able to get into some live work, and it was a lot of fun to see these guys, take on that aspect of it. But we're off to a good start. This is going to be a big week for us. So Wednesday will be day 5. We'll have a little more live work, some situational scrimmage stuff, and then Friday and Saturday. So big week. Again, going fast, but really like right now where we are. Encouraged by just the little things that the guys have bought into. Great energy out here. There's a sense of urgency that I like, and just kind of getting back to some basic things and seeing how the guys respond to this point. I've been very pleased with that. I know everybody probably heard the news about DK, and there's really not much to say about that other than he's not with us anymore. But also to say, I love DK, and man, he's a young man that I've always loved as a football player. He's got a good heart. He's got a really good heart, and he's never been a disrespectful young man or anything like that. Just sometimes, sometimes there just needs to be a change, and so I'm just so thankful. Had the opportunity to help him and hopefully make a difference for him these past 3 years, and thankful for all his contributions to our team and our program, and be pulling for him wherever his next stop is, and always be here for him. So really not much more to say than that. With that, I'll take the questions.
Hey, Coach, it's David Hood with TigerNet. This is the time in camp where some of these young guys start to flash for you a little bit. Maybe they also hit a little bit of a wall. Which of those freshmen are kind of catching your eye?
Yeah, there's several of them. We've got 12 mid-years. First of all, the freshmen that were here this past season, there's a bunch of those guys that have noticeably improved, and that's what you would expect. And then we got 12 mid-years, and the one thing I'll say about all 12 of those guys is I think we hit on all of them as far as what we think they can be and expect them to be at their positions. But still a little early to single any of them out. But it's a good group, special group of talented guys. But it's the more veteran guys. This is going to be one of our more veteran teams, and it's just good to see some guys taking the next steps. Whether it be rising sophomores, rising juniors, rising seniors, and we got 114 guys out here, so we got our whole roster with the exception of those 7 signees that aren't here yet. So just really like the fact that we've got a lot to work with, and it's a noticeable difference. It's amazing what a difference a year will make or a season will make. Some success, some failure, and then having a chance to really study yourselves. Weight room for some of these guys, and just a little bit more maturity. And when you start over every year, they just know more about what's coming, what to expect, and mentally they're in a different place. A lot of these freshmen and sophomores. So, we're off to a good start.
Hey, Coach, it's Trevor Gross from CUTigers.com. Speaking of last year's freshman, DJ seems kind of like a low-key type of guy, not very vocal. Do you talk to him about proactively taking steps to take over this as his team, or is that something that you just kind of let evolve organically?
Well, it's both. It really evolved organically, but it's definitely something that we talk to our players. Big part of our program is developing leadership, but it's no different than when Trevor was here. His freshman year, he was just trying to earn the respect of his teammates and this and that, kind of go prove it. And DJ is we need him to step up and be that leader, be that example for the offense, and he is that. I mean, it's don't let him fool you. He's a very calm and cool demeanor, great poise, but he's incredibly committed. He's passionate about being great, and he's not afraid to challenge his teammates at all. And he's in that. It's just this is kind of the process, between now and August that will naturally take place. But he's off to a great start. Had an unbelievable day today. I mean, he is mentally just really in a good place.
Dabo, Larry Williams here. Can we get an assessment of your assessment of the numbers at corner now with Darian gone and Lee Anthony as well, and maybe a window into your thoughts on is this a case where you would consider dipping into the portal or no?
Yeah. Well, we've got, something we always stay on top of, our roster. I mean, our number in the secondary is 16. That's our number that we try to manage our roster off of. And we have a number at every position. It's something we spend a lot of time on. Right now, we've got 15 scholarship guys in the secondary, so we're one under. We've got 9 safeties and 6 corners, and the good news is we got 15 guys that we really, really think can play, and we think have a chance to really be very impactful players for us at some point in their career. Now they're all at different stages, but there haven't been many teams where we could honestly say we have 15 guys that we felt like could win at a championship level, and we feel good about that. I mean, we've got, like I said, 9 safeties, 6 corners. We are under at corner. Our numbers down there. We've got a little bit of flexibility with a safety or two that we think can help us. And the good news is we're down at corner from our overall numbers. We'd like to have 7 or 8 of those guys, but the 6 that we have are elite players. They're not all elite at Clemson yet, but they're elite, talented guys that we think have the ability to really develop into great players. And we had a lot of young guys play last year. I mean, we lost 3 starters from the secondary, and some guys kind of took their lumps a little bit. We had some injuries, and guys got their noses bloodied. But guys get better. And I've been around a lot of guys that weren't maybe great as a freshman or great as a sophomore, and they were all conference, all American, and seniors. And the good news is I think we have the right talent at that position. Now we are down in numbers, and again, we'll see what happens after spring. As I told you guys the other day, we've never really been in this world that we're in now, so we don't have our head in the sand. That's a position that depending on what happens this spring, do we feel good about? We feel really good about the 6, but is there a safety that we really like that can be that putty guy for us? Do you have an injury? There's a lot of things that you have to consider, but that is a position that if and something we'll talk about later on that you may consider. But we're not going to jump in the portal and bring a backup in here. We'll give those reps to the other guys. It'd have to be an elite, multi-year starter, all conference type of guy that can come in here and help us. And if it's not something like that, then we're good where we are.
Coach, it's Gary McDaniel from Clemson Sports News. Tell us what about the slot wide receiver position that Lamari has vacated? How has Brandon looked, Spector, and is EJ getting some looks there right now? And do you have any other players planned to get some looks there during the spring?
Yeah, well, we're back in business there at wideout. I mean, it's unbelievable the depth that we have out here now. I'm super excited about it. Obviously we had so many guys out last year, and But man, we got a great group. Justin Ross will be, hopefully our starter at that spot. We're gonna really transition him there. Justin can play all three spots, and he will. But he played today, and he was clear to play. He would start there at that slot position. You got Brandon, EJ's working in there, and so we got a good group. Will's doing a good job in there. So we got a bunch of guys. We got Troy coming in this summer. And then I'll tell you what, these two young freshmen, Dakari and Bo, they've made us better already. Joe's made some improvements as a football player. He's got some growing up to do in other areas, but he's really made some improvements as a football player. I'm encouraged with that. It's great to see him got out here. Frank Ladson. I mean, you're talking about guys that we didn't have. So it's been good. We've got really good depth and good deep group and some versatility within that group.
Hey Dabo, it's Josh from Charleston. I remember last year with DK, you often said that he was in the love shack. When he decided to come back for his senior year, did you have any kind of conversation with him where you established that he'd have to kind of avoid some of those things that got him in the love shack last year?
I always have conversations with our guys, but again, it's really nothing else to add to it. I mean, he's not with our program anymore, and love him and gonna, again, always support him, and hopefully he'll get in a good spot and really be able to finish up like I know he's capable of doing.
Hey Dabo, this is Anna with Clemson 24/7. With the departure of Cade Stewart, could you just mention the players that are repping at center right now, or maybe even cross training? And is it realistic to think that mid-year Ryan Linthicum maybe could jump into that mix?
Ryan's got a ways to go. I mean, he's going to be a really talented player, but this kid just got here. He's got 4 football practices at Clemson under his belt, and lots to learn. The game's fast. He's going to be a good player, but I don't think that's very realistic after 4 practices. For anybody in that offensive line. I mean, it takes a lot of work. But really pleased with Rayburn. And he's one of those guys that I was talking about earlier. He's a redshirt sophomore. He's going into his 3rd year, and it's just, you can just see a light that's going on. It's amazing what the weight room and just some time will do for some of these guys. That is a hard position. But Rayburn has really come on. Trotter, we feel good about him and what he can do. Bachhorst gives us a lot of flexibility because Bach could easily be our starter. He could easily move to center if we felt like that was the best move for the best 5. So he can do it. Trent Howard is a guy that really does a good job snapping, really understands the game. So we got several guys that are working in there along with Ryan, and those guys are all cross-trained. But that group of OL, I'm encouraged by what I've seen. Some of those young guys, those young freshmen that the game was a little too fast for last year. They got a little better demeanor, but a little better look in their eye right now. And again, that's what a year's worth of experience will do for you.
Hey,
Dabo,
Dabo,
this is Matt. I know you.
Pete.
Go ahead, Pete.
Hey, Dabo, it's Pete at AP. How are these super seniors, these 6th-year guys, doing? Skowski told us the other day that he doesn't have to get all the reps. He can act like a coach out there and kind of guide some of the younger guys. Is that how you're using it with them? And what's it like, this situation, having guys here for, a decade, it seems like?
It's awesome. But they're getting, so it's Nolan and Skowski and Reagan and Rencher and Will Spires. I believe that's our only 6-year guys. And those guys are great, man. It's awesome to have them out here. Skowski and Nolan are doing all the teamwork, all the indie, all the skelly, all the thud work. We're not going to let them do any live this spring. We're going to give all those reps to those other guys. Those guys they got 1 million snaps under their belt. But it's good. So they're doing everything full speed. Again, all of our tempos of practice, but our actual live work, which we don't get a lot of that in spring. You get 3 scrimmages, and then you get a few days where you can mix in some live. We'll hold them out of that. All those other guys are business as usual, but it's great, because Those guys are fully committed and bought in. That's one of the reasons they came back, and they're invested big time, and it's important to them. So really value their input, value their experience, value their leadership.
Dabo, this is Matt. I think you mentioned Balin Spector, Landon Zanders as guys that were going to be out for the spring. Just how banged up were you guys defensively at the end of last year, and how much do you think that had to do, if at all, with the way the Ohio State game played out?
I didn't have anything to do with Ohio State. It ain't got nothing to do with some of the mistakes that we made. But it's football. I mean, you play a long season. And, we had every season. We always have some guys that have to have some cleanup type stuff, and all those guys will be fine. But a couple of them, battled through to get to the end of the season, knowing we were going to have to do surgery. And but they'll all recover and do well. But it's just there's no excuses at all. The only excuse was they were just better than us.
And with Jake Venables, do you have an update on? Is he good?
He's doing better. He's doing good. He had a rod put in his arm and all that stuff, so he's working back in and doing a good job.
Coach, going back to Skalski, he's of course was ejected for targeting in your last two playoff losses, and we know what happened after that. Not to say that you would have won those games if he hadn't, but is there a way to articulate just how valuable he is to your defense?
Oh, he knows. He knows.
Hey, Coach Lawton Swan. Being a former player yourself, transitioning to being a coach, what will this move be like for CJ just from a learning curve standpoint? I mean, given his talent and experience, but then, the ability to truly coach guys.
Yeah, CJ's always been a student of the game, and it's different than I was. I was 23 years old. I went straight from playing right into coaching and then full time at 26. So, that was a different transition for me. CJ's 32 or something like that, 31, 32 years old, whatever. And, he's a grown man, and he's got a ton of experience. And, like I said, always has been a student of the game, always. He was that way here as a player, always wanted to know why. And, he always took a lot of pride in understanding the big picture, a lot of pride in his technique and fundamentals. He's a natural. He's a natural coach. Certainly a lot to, peripheral stuff that goes with being a coach that he's got to grow into. But that's one of the reasons he wanted to come back last year and just spend a year, learning and watching. And, he's a quick study. He's doing a great job. He's no nonsense. And, these guys all respect him. It's going to be exciting to watch him grow into, I think, a special coach.
Hey, Coach, it's Trevor again. I think you misunderstood my question about Skalski. I was asking, I guess, how much we've seen how much different your defense looks without him, be it the Notre Dame game or after he was ejected in those two playoff games. Just how valuable is he to your defense? How can you articulate how valuable he is?
I mean, he's an unbelievable player. I mean, he's one of our best football players on this team, and he's the quarterback. How valuable was Trevor to us? I mean, listen, anytime you have your best player at a certain position not out, I mean, it's tough. But guess what? Nobody cares. The next guys, we're not. Listen, our third team guy is a really good player, and so next guy's got to go in and perform to the same standard. That's just the way it is. And we're blessed with a great roster. It's not like we just got 22 good football players. So we got to have them all ready to go. But definitely, you lose a guy like Skalski, that's tough. But we got to rise up.
Hey, Dabo. Sorry, this is Anna again. With the departure of Amari, Travis, DK, are there any new names you guys are trying out on the return teams right now?
We just got into the return game today, and did a little punt return today, doing some kick return on Wednesday. But we're going to evaluate all these guys. We'll evaluate the new kids that are here, kind of see who's natural, who's not, and then we'll hone in on it as we get further along in spring. But we just kind of really just introduced the punt return today, and then again kick return on Wednesday. But we got a lot of guys kind of trying out, if you will, trying to show what they can do, and everybody thinks they can do it till they get out there, and then you find out real quick who's ready for the show and who's not.
Dabo, is Joseph Ngata back to being himself, and how much did that time off sort of get him back mended?
Oh yeah, he's been great. He's had to have surgery as well. But it's just awesome to have him back. He and Frank. You're talking about huge. Frank Ladson, Ngata, and Justin Ross. Pretty much out for the year. Those are three elite players that we didn't really have access to, and it's good to see him out here. But Joseph looks great. He's incredibly focused, and it's good to see him, getting back to full health, and hopefully he'll be able to kind of overcome that injury bug that he's had.
We'll take about 2 or 3 more for Coach.
Yeah, but this is Matt again. With Justin moving inside some, just what was that discussion like and decision-making process like, and what kind of threat can he be from there?
Justin's a threat anywhere. We've left him at positions, but we have formationed him all over in his when we've had it. He's made plays in the boundary, he's made plays in the field, he's made plays in the slot since he's been here. But we've never really just played him at the 5-man and asked him to really learn that. But that's really kind of one of the things that makes him unique. Clemson people remember Derek Hamilton. I coached Derek when I first got here. Derek was very unique. I only had him for a year. Wish I'd had him again, but he was very unique in his size, but his ability to change direction, his lateral quickness and explosiveness in and out of cuts. And that's one of Justin's gifts. He is so gifted. He's Renfro-esque when it comes to his lateral ability. And when you're in the slot, it's quick change of direction, and then you get a big body like that. He's unique, but he can play any position. And but you got Ngata, you got Frank, you got EJ, you got Justin. That's kind of in spec, man. That's kind of our top 5 guys right there, and all those guys bring a lot of versatility. And at the end of the day, we're gonna get the best 3 on the field. So. It's just going to be a great opportunity. I think it'll be a great move for Justin and his future as well, because he's one of those rare guys with size that can be elite, I think, at any position.
Dabo, it's Gary from Clemson Sports News again. Tell us a little about what you've seen of Jake Bringingstool, the new tight end you got. I know he's not going to get much reps right now, but what have you seen of him so far?
Yeah, he's light in the tail. He's got to get in the weight room. But what I love about him is he's willing. He's going to be a great football player. He's got natural ball skills. He's long. He can run. He really understands the route running aspect of things, and he's got a lot of confidence. But what I love about him is, again, he's a little light in the tail. But man, he'll stick his face in there. He's just a natural football player. And he's going to be a really good one. He's going to be really, really good. So excited about him, and know he'll put a lot of work in the weight room between now and August, and where we need him to be, from just a weight standpoint. But he's definitely, like I said, all 12 of those guys. I'm super, super excited about what I have seen out of them at their respective positions.
We'll take one final one for Coach.
Dabo, with Tony Elliott going through the offseason and get some interest in Tennessee, how did you try to help him with that? What's it mean having him back with you guys this year?
Well, awesome. I love Tony. He's again, as I said earlier, I'm not old enough to be his dad, but that's kind of the relationship we have, and that's how I look at him. He's just a wonderful person, and just always does things the right way, and just try to help mentor him and give him good counsel, good advice. And he's had a bunch of opportunities, and it's funny how some get public and some don't. but he loves Clemson. He loves working here. He loves his job. And, one of these days it'll be the right one. The only reason he's not a head coach right now, it just hasn't been the right one for him. That's the only reason.
All right. With that, we'll wrap up Coach Swinney. For everybody that'd like to speak with DJ Uyongalale, please head over to room 2 now, where he is currently going.